Hello dear students, in previous video we have studied how to prepare the stained temporary mount of the onion peel cells as well as that of the human cheek cells. We can try preparing temporary mounts of peels of onions of different sizes. So what do we observe? Do we see similar structures or different structure? What are these structures? These structures are cells. These cells are also known as the basic units of life. All these structures look similar to each other. Together, the structures form a big structure like that of an onion ball. We found from this activity that though we have small sized or big sized onion, their cells look similar to one another. Means the size of the cell doesn't change with the size of an organism. The small structures that we see, that is the cells. These cells are the basic building units of onion ball. Not only onions, but all the organisms are made up of cells. We have already discussed that cells were discovered by the scientist Robert Hooke in the year 1665. You have to remember the name of the scientist who discovered the cell. Name of that scientist is Robert Hooke. He discovered the cells with the help of his primitive microscope in the year 1665. He observed the cells in a slice of cork with the help of very simple type of microscope. Nowadays we have different types of microscope available. In previous video I had shown you binocular microscope, projection microscope, but at the time of Robert Hooke such microscopes were not available. Then after Robert Hooke, next scientist was Leeuwenhoek in the year 1674. This scientist is also known as the father of microbiology. The scientist Leeuwenhoek. You should know the names of this scientist. This scientist is known as the father of microbiology because first time this scientist have observed the microorganisms with the help of the microscope. The scientist Leeuwenhoek, who is also known as the father of microbiology. He discovered the free living cells in the pond water and named these cells as the microorganism. Then it was Robert Brown in 1831. He discovered the nucleus in the cell. The next scientist is Robert Brown. He discovered nucleus. Don't get confused with the names of the scientists. Robert Hooke discovered the cell while Robert Brown discovered the nucleus in the year 1831. These names are very important. The scientist Robert Hooke discovered the cell in 1665 while Robert Brown discovered the nucleus in the year 1831. Then next scientist is Purkinje in 1839. This scientist have coined the term protoplasm for the fluid content inside the cell. The cytoplasm as well as nucleus. Together he coined the term protoplasm for the fluid content inside the cell. The cell theory was given by the two scientists, Schleiden and Schwann. Now what are the key postulates of the cell theory? The cell theory. The cell theory was given by two scientists, Schleiden and Schwann. The cell theory was given by the scientists Schleiden and Schwann. The key postulates of cell theory are all living organisms are made up of cells and products of cells. This is the first postulate. All living organisms are made up of cells. Second postulate is all cells arise from the pre-existing cells. Whatever kind of organism it is, it arises from the single cell, from the pre-existing cell. So these are the two important key postulates of the cell theory, which was proposed by the scientists Leiden and Schwann. The first postulate is all organisms are made up of cells, and second one is all cells arise from the pre-existing cells. The cell theory was further expanded by the scientist Virchow in 1855. He suggested that all cells arise from the pre-existing cells. With the discovery of electron microscope in 1940, it was possible to observe and understand the complex structure. It was possible to observe the structure of the cell. The invention of magnifying glasses led to the discovery of the microscopic world. It is now known that a single cell may constitute a whole organism, as in amoeba, chlamydomonas, paramecium, bacteria, etc. So these organisms are called as the unicellular organisms. So organisms are now categorized as unicellular, means the whole body is composed of a single cell, and multicellular. Multicellular means their body is made up of many cells. Some of the examples of unicellular organisms are amoeba, paramecium, euglena, chlamydomonas, bacteria, etc. These are the unicellular organisms. See, uni means single. Unicellular means made up of the single cell. So examples are amoeba, paramecium, chlamydomonas, euglena, bacteria, etc. Multicellular. Multi means many. So the body of these organisms is composed of many cells. For example, most of the plants, animals around us, these are multicellular organisms. What is the difference between unicellular and multicellular organisms? Unicellular organisms, uni means single, means their body is composed of single cell. So all the activities are performed by the single cell only. While in multicellular organisms, their body is composed of many cells. So there are specialized cells for performing the different functions of the body. Every multicellular organism has come from a single cell. How? Cells divide from the cells of their own kind. All the cells come from the pre-existing cells. Even our body, we are also composed from a single cell, that is zygote. In 8th standard, you have heard about the development of the baby. So its formation starts with a single cell, which is known as the zygote. Now some organisms can also have cells of different kinds. Now let us discuss about the cells of the different kinds. Suppose, see the structure of these smooth muscle cells. These are pointed at both ends. This is a picture of smooth muscle cells. Even in case of blood also there are different kinds of cells. So this shape structure, RBCs, WBCs, they show different structure. If we see the structure of ovum, which is female germ cell or female reproductive cell. So it is the biggest cell. It is very bigger in size. If we consider sperm, sperm is very small as compared with the ovum. bone cells. Bone cells again show different shape. They may be amoeboid. Then if we consider the nerve cell, nerve cells are very bigger cells. So why this variety arises? According to their function in the body. They show different shapes and structures according to their functions. Now these nerve cells have to transmit messages over long distances. So these nerve cells are longer. Some nerve cells may be more than 1 meter long. If we consider fat cells, such balloon-like structure is there. So this is the structure of a fat cells. Why do we see such variety in the cell shapes? Because of their functions. The shape and size of the cells are related to the specific function they perform. Some cells like amoeba have changed shapes. Amoeba, now you know that amoeba is a unicellular organism, means its single cell performs all the function. So if it has to capture the food, it starts to grow its body in the direction of the food. It starts to develop the pseudopodia. Means this amoeba has capacity to change the shape of the body. Here if we see the different types of cells found in the human body. This is the structure of muscle cells. These are the blood cells. Blood cells also show differences. And this is nerve cell. Nerve cells are very longer. Then these bone cells. This is structure of human egg or ovum. It is very bigger in size because it has food reserve in it for the developing embryo. Then this is the structure of the sperm cell. This is fat cell. Each living cell has the capacity to perform certain basic functions. There is a division of labor. Now what is meant by the division of labor? See, it is said that there is a division of labor in the cells. For example, in our body is made up of many organs. So each organ is specialized in performing a typical function. For example, brain is specialized for thinking, heart is there for pumping the blood, kidneys continuously filter our blood, lungs, they purify the blood, stomach helps in digestion. Means each organism has a special organ to perform the specific function. That is known as the division of labor. In our daily life also we see the division of labor even in our school. Each member of school has been given a particular kind of work. So that is known as a division of labor. This division of labor is seen in the cells also. The cells have cell organelles. And these cell organelles, all the cells have the cell organelles. And these cell organelles are specialized in performing a particular functions. Functions such as making new material in the cell, clearing up of the waste materials from the cell, and so on. The cell is able to live and perform all its functions because of these organelles. That's why cell is known as the fundamental unit of life. See, cells are known as the fundamental unit of life. Why is it so? Because cells are capable to perform all their functions by their own. That's why the cells are known as the fundamental units of life. Now let us recall the names of the scientists. The first scientist, Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke. The credit of discovery of cells goes to scientist Robert Hooke. He discovered cells in the year 1665. The next scientist, Leeuwenhoek. This scientist observed the microorganisms in the pond water. So Leeuwenhoek is known as the father of microbiology. Then next scientist is Robert Brown. He discovered the nucleus in the year 1831. Then Purkinje in 1839. He coined the term protoplasm. The famous cell theory. All organisms are made up of cells, and these cells arise from the pre-existing cells. So this cell theory was given by the two scientists, Leiden and Schwann. So you should remember all these names. In next video we will be discussing about what is the structural organization of the cell.